What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ben on Sports. This weekend is Father's Day, and with the Father's Day celebrations, there's also going to be an incredibly unique, never seen before NASCAR event that's also quite patriotic as the 250th anniversary of the country gets closer and closer on July 4th. And without further ado, let's get into some storylines going into NASCAR San Diego. Maybe I should say Coronado, but everybody's been saying San Diego. And the biggest storyline in NASCAR right now, Denny Hamlin gets in victory lane again. 3 consecutive wins, or points wins, 4 overall if you count the All-Star race, where his deficit to Tyler Reddick, who has most of the season been long and away, far away from everybody, been pulled away, is down to just 19. It was at like 120 like a month ago, and it's already down to 19 points. Tyler Reddick's been really, really good. Only one finish outside the top 15 this season, but Denny Hamlin is on such a hot streak, he's still been able to reel him in. And then those two, massive gap to the rest of the field behind them. Those two are kind of breaking away at the top of the field. But I am going to say Denny Hamlin's march towards Tyler Reddick is probably done for now, with back-to-back road courses this week and next week. Sonoma being next week, San Diego being this week. Tyler Reddick is a much better road course racer than Denny Hamlin is, and all to stretch that lead back out on Denny Hamlin again. But it is impressive how fast Denny Hamlin has closed on Reddick. I want to shout out Legacy Motor Club. They always have stretches, I feel like, the last couple of seasons where they show that they can have some speed, and they're on one right now. Eric Jones finishing in the top 6 the last 2 weeks. John Hunter Nemechek looked to be one of the fastest cars on the track again this week. Legacy Motor Club the last couple of weeks putting together some good speed. John Hunter Nemechek last road course had some good speed. Maybe Legacy is starting to find a corner. There's been some talks about them being a tier 1 partner with Toyota, and how much information they're getting from Joe Gibbs and TRD and 23XI and all that. Whatever the situation is, it seems like they're finally starting to gain some consistency in the week-to-week speed department, and maybe we could see another quality playoff contending team year in and year out if Legacy can do this consistently. Trackhouse needs to have a good 2 weeks. All 3 of their cars have shown speed at road courses this year. They're known for the road course prowess, so I guess that's kind of what happens when you have Shane Van Gisbergen. But Van Gisbergen is approaching the cut line. Zilich is way out of it, probably not making the playoffs, and Chastain desperately needs to start making up points. Trackhouse has had an awful year. Yes, they have a race win with SVG at Watkins Glen, but other than that, it has not been a great year. They excel at road courses. They have, I would probably say, the best average skill for any team on road courses, and they're going to need to show it this week and next week to maybe get their season going and reverse the bad that that has plagued them. Connor Zilich with all his bad luck, Chastain a little bit of bad luck. They're just so down on speed, it seems like, so much, and then they're getting caught up in other wrecks. Can they use these 2 road courses back to back to get going? In that same vein, who can use these road courses to get points? You're seeing groups of people bunched together, like 2 or 3 drivers bunched together here. Sometimes it's 4 or 5, but you see drivers bunched together, and in those bunches, you're trying to get to the bunch ahead of you and run better than the people around you so you can gain spots. And they're all close enough where 1 week could vault you 3 spots because there's 10 points separating 4 drivers. So who can find a way to get points on road courses? And secondary, you already know there's going to be undercutting stages. So how much does that play a role? Who stays out for stage points? Who comes down trying to win the race and get track position at the end of the stage? That battle is going to be very, very big. Playoffs are looming. They're not that far away. Every point matters, and that's going to cause a lot of teams to have interesting decisions at the end of these stages. There's some drivers outside of the playoffs looking to move in that are very good on road courses. There's some drivers in the playoffs looking to maybe get a better position for themselves that are good at road courses, and some playoff drivers that are just trying to hold serve and not lose a whole bunch of ground. How does that storyline play out the next 2 weeks for what are, by the way, the last 2 road courses of the season? So if you're a road course fan, make sure you turn in this week. you should be turning in this week anyway. It's going to be a great spectacle. And make sure you turn in next week for Sonoma, because after next week, no more road courses the rest of the season. We only have 4 this year in the series. And what are we expecting this week? It seems like nobody really knows. You're expecting the normal guys to be up front, but it looks like a very rough, bouncy, uneven road course, as to be expected for with it being a military base and real roads. They're taking care of, not like a racetrack, right? So it's going to be very bumpy. There's sections of the race where it almost looks like drivers might be catching air. All kinds of craziness could ensue today or this weekend. All through practice, all 3 series are going to be there. It ought to be a spectacular event. You're probably going to see a lot of patriotism. It is on a military base, one of America's famous military bases. You're going to see some water. You're going to see some battleships. Probably going to see some planes, some helicopters. You're going to see a lot of service members there. And I think it will be a really cool Father's Day event. It's going to be unlike anything NASCAR has ever done before, in my opinion. When you take into account not just the track, not just where it is, but just the overall significance of what's happening. So I'm very interested. I don't know what to expect for the race. I think there'll probably be a lot of cautions. That's what I'm concerned about. I really want to see some green flag runs to see how this track is and see who can manage tires a little bit, because I do think that'll be big in a long run with how rough the track is. But I think there's going to be a lot of yellows, which could mean a lot of strategy play in this one. Put in the comments below if you're excited for this event this weekend and can appreciate the uniqueness of it. All right, so I went back to the beginning of 2023, which is 2 races this season and then 2 full road course seasons. So since the beginning of 2023, there has been 19 total road course races, so most drivers have driven in 18 or 19. Shane Van Gisbergen has driven in 12 or 14. Can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. But this, all the information I'm giving you is not going to be the entirety of the Next Gen era, but it's going to be the recent Next Gen era, because there's been a lot of road courses, and they've never raced here before, so I have no history at this track to go off either. Most wins in those 19 races, Shane Van Gisbergen was 7, despite racing in quite a few less than everybody else. We all know Shane Van Gisbergen, best road course driver in NASCAR history. We know that is why he was bought into the series. You expect him to be the favorite every single time NASCAR goes to one of these tracks, and it shows here with this win total since 2023, where he has 7 wins. Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick are the only 3 other drivers in this time frame to have multiple road course wins, and they all have 2. And then 6 drivers all have 1. However, one of those drivers, Martin Truex Jr., is retired and not racing anymore. Although, as I'll get to later, they have a pretty good road course racer in that car now, or driver in that car now. But the other 5 drivers that are still active: Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, AJ Allmendinger, and Michael McDowell. Some of those guys could really, really use a victory this weekend. Best average finish: 3 drivers are averaging a top 10 on street and road courses. Shane Van Gisbergen at 6.7, and then Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher are tied at 10. And then Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott are right outside, averaging a top 10 at 11.1 and 11.5. Most top 5s at road and street courses: Christopher Bell and Shane Van Gisbergen are tied at 9. Reddick, Elliott, and McDowell are tied at 8. Gibbs and Byron are tied at 7. And Bowman and Buescher are tied at 5. Most top 10s, Tyler Reddick, the class of the field there, 14 top 10s and 19 attempts. You can pretty much bet if it's a road course, Tyler Reddick's going to find his way towards the front. 3 drivers are tied at 12, Buescher, Van Gisbergen, and Bell. Obviously, Van Gisbergen has the highest conversion rate of top 10s. 2 drivers are tied at 11, Chase Elliott and Michael McDowell. And then 3 drivers tied at 10, AJ Allmendinger, William Byron, and Ty Gibbs. Not surprised at any of these names. They're pretty much who you expect to see for these stats at road courses. And they're all probably going to be amongst some of the favorites. Favorites to win. Speaking of favorites, I always do team rankings. I think the winner's almost surely coming from one of these first four teams that I list, but Trackhouse has got to be the favorite. They have Van Gisbergen, they have Zilich, they have Chastain. All of them are capable of winning a road course race, and two of them have proven they can win a road course race. Joe Gibbs racing at number 2. Christopher Bell can win road course races. He has 2 in the next era, 3 total in his career. Ty Gibbs is always super fast. Denny, maybe not as much. He seems like he can have some speed and finds his way around the track. And then Chase Briscoe has done really well since arriving at Joe Gibbs at having speed at road course races. 23XI. Bubba is just okay at these. I think he's gotten better, but he's not a threat to win this week. Tyler Reddick definitely is, and so this is largely on the strength of his back. Obviously, you have Riley Herbst, but I don't expect too much there. Hendrick Motorsports, I have at 4th. Chase Elliott, for a couple years, was the road course ace in NASCAR. Kyle Larson has multiple road course wins. William Byron has multiple road course wins. Bowman has a street course win in Chicago. So Hendrick Motorsports, you should see run well, especially because it seems like Chevy is starting to figure out this body and get consistent speed from it. And I have no idea who to put at 5. I almost put RFK because Chris Buescher is so strong, but Brad Keselowski is very bad. And Ryan Preece is kind of just average on road courses. I was going through all the different names, and I like Spire. I think eventually Hocevar will figure this out. A lot of these younger guys seem like they either have road course racing figured out or they figure it out quickly. But they have Daniel Suarez, who has a next-gen road course race win, and he usually finds his way to be top 10, top 15 minimum. And they have Michael McDowell, who he's probably a top 3 road course racer over the last 2 seasons, driving with Spire Motorsports, and sometimes isn't always talked about enough as a contender, but Michael McDowell ought to be super fast, so I put Spire Motorsports as my 5th team. My individual driver ranking, Shane Van Gisbergen far and away the big favorite, for obvious reasons. Tyler Reddick is my number 2. I think there's a difference to me to consistently having top 10 speed and consistently having race-winning speed. I think Tyler Reddick is somebody that consistently has race-winning speed and ability at road courses, and that's why I have him second over some people who maybe are who have the similar numbers, but I find them to have consistently top 10 speed, not consistent race-winning speed, and that'd be somebody like a Chris Buescher, in my opinion. Ty Gibbs, I think, has been very good this year on the road courses, and I think that shows from Xfinity. This is Ty Gibbs' breakout year, and I think he will continue to do better and better on road courses. Is something he excelled at when he was in the O'Reilly series. Christopher Bell, again, he has his own proven pedigree, one of the few guys to beat Shane Van Gisbergen since he went full-time in Cup. Remember, SVG only went full-time in Cup last season, and since then, only 2 drivers have been able to beat him on a road course, Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, and it was both at COTA. But since he went full-time, SVG has won every single road course race that's not Circuit of the Americas. Maybe keep that in mind this week. But Christopher Bell has beaten him before. I give Christopher Bell top 5 odds this week. Michael McDowell has gone toe-to-toe with Shane Van Gisbergen and been close to him. He hasn't quite been able to get around him. Maybe this is the week McDowell finally does it. He qualifies well. They are not afraid to make gambles with strategy. I think that 71 car might have something for this 88 of Shane Van Gisbergen. Chase Elliott, he still is good on road courses. Doesn't have the dominance he once displayed, but he's still pretty good. Chase Elliott 6th in my driver favorites for this weekend. Followed by his teammate Kyle Larson, who hasn't showed much speed on the road courses. But I also think this team is kind of turning a corner. You look at how much speed they had at Pocono and how much speed they've had the last couple weeks. Larson has the ability to be fast on road courses. He's won them before. And I think they continue their turnaround this week. Chase Briscoe at number 8. This sometimes feels too low for him. In the 2 road course races this year, he's been 4th at Sonoma and then led laps and was 3rd at Circuit of the Americas before having a mechanical issue with the transactional and finishing last. But since he arrived at JGR, he hasn't quite always come away with the results, but he's always qualified well, and he's always been fast on road courses. People forget he was good in the Xfinity Series on road courses. Almost won his first career race at the Indy road course. Chase Briscoe, I think, is an underrated road course racer, and I think his numbers are so bad because he was with Storthouse Racing that did not seem to put that much effort into building fast road course cars. JGR does, and I think he's going to continue to have improved numbers. Chase Briscoe should be a top 10 car this week. I'm giving this guy one more chance. I'm putting him at my 9th favorite. Connor Zilic is supposed to be the American driver that can take down Big Bad SVG on road courses. They drive for the same team. They both have Red Bull deals. Can Connor Zilic finally put a whole race together, finally get away from the bad luck that has plagued him most of his rookie year? He's shown some speed glimpses at both road course races, but for whatever reason, they have an issue. Sometimes it's his fault. Sometimes they just get buried back in the pack. If they can put together a clean race, I think Connor Zilic can run up front all day, and they need a day where they do that. And then I have William Byron at 10. I thought about Allmendinger. I thought about Chastain. I thought about Daniel Suarez or Alex Bowman potentially, but I'm giving it to William Byron. I think he's in a similar boat as Kyle Larson. They need to start stacking up points. They're starting to turn a corner, and I think they continue to do so this weekend. William Byron, that team's usually pretty adaptable and usually grinds a race out. I think there's going to have to be a lot of that this weekend, and I have faith that the 24 car will be able to do it. Let me know in the comments below. Everybody's favorite should be Shane Van Gisbergen. Let me know in the comments if Shane Van Gisbergen doesn't win, who you think is able to pick up the win this weekend. Has the best shot at upsetting SVG. Regular season standings, and yes, guys, I brought the colors back. I have the standings color coded, and I'm going to go through and tell you what all the colors mean because sometimes it's easier to talk about these groups of drivers as I have them grouped together than it is to talk about each one individually. This yellow that you see, Reddick and Denny Hamlin, it's really meant to be gold, right? This yellow gold color, because they're the championship favorites. Denny Hamlin is 19 points back of Tyler Reddick for first place. And then they have a 145 point gap, 46 point gap on Ryan Blaney. So Ryan Blaney won the championship in 2023 and is a very, very good driver. And he's in third place. That's good for Blaney. But over 145 points back. That is a huge deficit and just shows how good Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin have been this year, and Denny Hamlin especially as of late. So that yellow group is far and away the top two favorites that have shown speed. They've won 9 races between the two of them, which is over half of the races this season. That should tell you something about how good and consistent those two cars have been. This orange group is the best of the rest, guys who currently are in a position where they can win a championship. When everybody ran simulations and looked at this, they said if you're not the top 6 at the end of the regular season, you probably don't have much of a shot. And right now, this best of the rest is in the top 6. Only one of them, in Kyle Larson, does not have a win. That has to change at some point. But these are the other drivers that seem to consistently be able to run up front and get good days. And I think Kyle Larson is going to continue to rise up this particular group of people. Ryan Blaney leads this group with 539. Chase Elliott in 4th with 509. Ty Gibbs at 506. So those two are super close. And they're both road course racers. So it'll be good road course racers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens between Elliott and Gibbs this week. And then Kyle Larson at 494. My next group is what I'm officially coining the happy to be here group, having solid seasons. Buescher, Suarez, and Hocevar there in green. Buescher at 461, Suarez at 450, Hocevar at 449. Suarez and Hocevar both have won races. I can't tell you the last time Spire or if they've ever won 2 races in a season, especially with 2 different drivers. Suarez and Hocevar have both done that. It was a big win for Suarez. Hocevar was his first career win. Buescher, just being Chris Buescher, consistently finding ways to put good days together. There is a 33-point gap between them and the next group, so I don't know if they can get into that group. But if you look at these 3 teams, they're usually not consistent enough to be in this top 8 conversation like they are right now. And for Spire, I mean, they're definitely happy to be there. When's the last time Spire was top 10 on points this late into a season? I don't know. Probably never. So I think they're happy to be there. I don't think any of those teams think they can win the championship, but they would love to be in the top 10 at the end of the season, potentially even in the top 5 if they can keep themselves around this seeding. So they're my happy to be here group. I think RFK expects to run a little bit better than Spire does, and especially Chris Buescher. But I still overall think that there's some similarity with those three cars. This next group, this purpley pink group, Christopher Bell in 10th, William Byron in 11th, Chase Briscoe in 12th, Bell at 421, Byron at 415, Briscoe at 411. These are guys that when they have that. These guys are guys that have shown in their current rides that they can be championship contenders and probably believe they should be better than 10th, 11th, and 12th. They have the speed to be able to do it usually. Byron hasn't had as much speed as the other two, but due to circumstances sometimes outside of their control, whether it's getting caught up in other people's wrecks, whether it's, just having a bad week or having a mechanical failure, for whatever reason, they haven't gotten the finishes they always deserve. They haven't had the same speed, luck combination they previously had. All three of these guys should be higher up on points. They look like they're having speed more consistently. So this group in pink, that pink purple color, they should be higher up. I think I'm seeing good signs definitely from Byron and Briscoe, and I want to see if they can march up the point standings and try and get towards that top 6 range. But first they have to get by the green group, because I think the purple group is more of all three of them are bigger threats than all three in green, but they haven't been as consistent, haven't been getting the finishes they deserve, hence why they are behind them in points. But I do think you could see that 28-point gap between Hocevar and Bell shrink, and the groups kind of merge together within the next couple of weeks, especially with the prowess on road course racing between some of these drivers. Bubba Wallace has his own color. To me, Bubba Wallace is in good equipment. He had a fantastic start to the year, and proved that he can run with the front of the pack consistently. However, he since has not been consistent. They've had some bad qualifying efforts. They've been caught up in other people's wrecks multiple times. They've made some mistakes themselves, and that's why they've gone from 2nd to 13th. At one point, it was 15th. They've had a couple good weeks, or okay weeks in a row, which have gotten them back up to 13th. They're not quite with the group in front of them, but they're better than the group behind them. They're kind of in no man's land, and I do think Bubba Wallace is capable of climbing these standings. Absolutely. Here's why I don't put Bubba Wallace in with the purple group. He has not proven he can be a championship contender at a consistent level. He's had good stretches, but I don't think Bubba Wallace has ever put together a whole season, or a whole 3/4 of a season even, that proves he can be as good as some of these guys in front of him. But he's not. I would argue the average performance from Bubba is usually better than Suarez or Hocevar, maybe even Buescher, and it's definitely better than the guys below him. So he's kind of in his own category right now, both in the standings and how I view him as a driver. He's not too far, and maybe he can join this purple group at some point, but I'm going to need to see consistent performance after consistent performance. The red group is the next group, and these are the guys that I think are going to be making up the playoff field. The guys that are fighting amongst the cut line and have been. Shane Van Gisbergen, minus 343. He is at 361 points. Okay. That's only 20 points up on the cut line. Really 16 if you look at Austin Cindric, but Austin Cindric is in the playoffs right now. And I think Shane Van Gisbergen's season is going to be decided the next 2 weeks. You know how good he is as a road course racer. You know he's made improvement at the ovals, but if his season is going to come down to if he can get enough points at the road courses the next 2 weeks where he can suffer a couple of bad weeks in a row. It is possible, genuinely, for him to walk away with a huge lead over the cut line after these next couple of weeks. And it's possible, genuinely possible, I think, where Van Gisbergen can score 100 points the next 2 weeks at road courses, and I think that will give him quite a comfortable edge. But if that doesn't happen, he's going to be in danger. He needs to perform to an insane amount on road courses, or his margin of error, I don't think, will be enough to get him in the playoffs. Eric Jones was outside the top 20, but a couple good weeks in a row, and all of a sudden he's 15th, tied for 15th with Austin Cindric. Super hot. He's not always the best on road courses, so he could lose some of this, but if they can continue to have the success on ovals that they've been having, Eric Jones can definitely make the playoffs. He's all the way up, tied for 15th. What a great run to bring himself into the playoff conversation. Austin Cindric still at 16th, still in danger, but these next 2 weeks could be helpful for him because he's a better road course racer than a lot of the guys he's on this, pretty much all the guys he's on this cut line with. I'd say Cindric's a better road course racer than Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, and Joey Logano. And those are literally 15, 16, 17, and 18, and 19 in points. So I think Austin Cindric has a chance to maybe put some space between him and the cut line. But he's been in this mid-teens, I feel like, on points his whole career, the mid-teens to the early 20s. This is where he lives points-wise. There's no winning you're in anymore. So Austin Cindric is going to have to perform on the road courses. Number 17, Brad Keselowski. Man, it just keeps getting worse. They were in the top 10 not that long ago, and they 1 point finishing in last week. Just bad finish after bad finish. Sometimes it's their fault. Sometimes it's a speed issue. Sometimes it's not their fault. But just the free fall continues, and Brad Keselowski's not a great road course racer, and now he has to go race Sonoma and San Diego. Not a great time to be a Keselowski fan. Similar stance for Logano and Preece. Really, all three. Logano has been outside the playoffs most of the season. He's going to have to find some road course expertise because right now he is minus 21 to the cut line. So Logano's going to need to find a way to start making up ground and quick, and he cannot afford two 30th place finishes on road courses. Ryan Preece is okay on road courses. I think he's better than some of the guys in front of him. Can he make up enough points? Preece was running well on ovals and then has just, again, a lot of RFK. Really, it's Brad and Ryan Preece have just not been able to match Buescher's results, and they have dropped and sunk like a rock in the points. RFK is going to need to find some speed on road courses, or they could be in trouble in terms of only getting one car into the playoffs. And the Michael McDowell, I have white because he's not with this red group. Now, he's better than everybody in red except for Shane Van Gisbergen at road courses. So I think by the end of this 2 road course stretch, Michael McDowell could potentially do well enough where he's in the playoffs. Definitely close to it. I don't know if I take him serious, though, because they have not found consistent speed at all on ovals. And that's what he's going to need to make up all of this ground, especially with guys like Logano and Keselowski who've proven they can run ovals consistently, both of them being champions of the sport. So McDowell might close the gap the next 2 weeks, but I don't think he's going to do enough after the road courses to make it. There is some super speedways, and McDowell has won there before. So for now, McDowell is in white because he's in the top 20 in points, but I don't think he's a threat. I spent some more time on standings, so I'm not going to spend as long on power rankings. There's not really that much movement, in my opinion. And everybody is pretty much in the groups I put them in the points. Denny Hamlin 1, Tyler Reddick 2. There's no argument there. Nobody should be arguing. They're far and away the best 2. Blaney in 3rd. Solid week at Pocono. Still 3rd in points. Larson I have up to 4th ahead of Elliott and Gibbs in 5th and 6th because Larson has shown consistent speed the last 2 or 3 weeks and more speed than Elliott and Gibbs. Larson could have won that race if he didn't lose. I think if Larson was able to stay out front, I know that they weren't as good over the long run, but I think they could have held Denny off. Kyle Larson, though, because he's showing better speed as of late, I'm giving him the bump to 4 over Elliott and Gibbs. Buescher in 7th, Suarez in 8th, Tosafar 9th. Tosafar had a bad week, which is why he falls below Buescher and Suarez. Bell had an easy chance to rise up this again. Another chance to win for Bell, another solid car, and they just run out of gas trying to push it too long, and that destroyed his day. He's still 10th. Bell is going to win a race at some point this season. He's had too much speed not to. And then he's followed by William Byron, who had a great second place day. Chase Briscoe got stage points both stage, finished just outside the top 10. Eric Jones all the way up to 13 after 2 fantastic weeks in the power rankings. Can he keep that momentum on road courses where he hasn't been strong before in his career? I don't know, but if he can, he'll keep rising up the power rankings. Bubba Wallace 14th. Shane Van Gisbergen, nobody in Trackhouse had a good day. He's down the 15th, but nobody behind him had a great day either. Cindric just had a solid day, but it's still right on the cut line. Keselowski, really bad day, finishing last. Logano, not a great day. John Hunter Nemechek joins the top 20 with his awesome day, a top 5 for him, and McDowell stays at 20. That's all I have for you today. Make sure you watch NASCAR. Yes, the NBA and the NHL over. Yes, the World Cup is here. Make sure you watch NASCAR. It should be an awesome event. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe. It's a crazy world out there. Peace.